Hello everybody, welcome to the Comic Gamer Movie Show. My name is Deshaun, and today I'm here to review Ahsoka's episodes 7 and 8. Now this show, Ahsoka, has been an interesting one. Like I said, it's not quite as good as Mandalorian Seasons 1, 2, or Andor, but it's right above, I would say it's above Boba Fett. It's probably better than, Bad Batch, and it's probably better than, Obi-Wan. So like, but it's not quite as good as, like I said, Andor and the two first seasons of The Mandalorian. But it might be better than, but it's on par, if not better, than the third season of The Mandalorian. So it's an interesting spot to put this show. Because this show, first of all, I'm going to talk about these last two episodes and the season as a whole in two different kind of ways. Because there's one part of me that's a fan. So if you are someone who watched Rebels, if you're someone who's been watching Star Wars, if you're someone who's been watching Star Wars for years, if you're someone who knows the lore, if you're someone like that, then you get more out of this than not. If you're someone like that, you get the Sabine Wren story, you get the Ezra Bridger story, you get the Ezra story, you get all of it. You get what the appeal of Thrawn, because there are things with Thrawn that I think the only reason I even see it is only because I watched the show. There are things with Ezra, with Sabine, with Hera. There are just things that I only get because I watched Rebels. So the show, just all that to say is that I am aware enough to look at this from the perspective of this. A lot of these things work for me because I've seen the show and I have that reference, but not everybody has that reference. Not everybody has the Rebels reference to come back to. Not everyone has the references to what Thrawn used to be like to come to. For instance, the thing I noticed about Thrawn in the show, live action version of Thrawn, first of all, he looks fantastic. He looks exactly how you imagine Thrawn would look. His demeanor, his coldness, the way he walks, the way he talks. Now, it helps that they got I believe they got the voice actor who voiced Thrawn on the show to play him. So the voice sounds exactly how you imagine it was going to sound too. They did the same thing for Cad Bane in Book of Boba Fett. They got the guy who voiced Cad Bane to voice Cad Bane in the live action version. So that's why that sounded exactly the same. But I digress. The thing about this version of Thrawn that is interesting is clearly an older Thrawn. He's been there for a little bit. I don't know if they ever say how long they spent in that other world, way out there. I don't know how long they said they spent way out there, but all I know is they've been out there for quite some time. At least enough time that they've had to pretty much figure out other ways of fuel and other ways to survive. As you see, the Star Destroyer has all these carvings and markings all over it, and all the former Star Troopers' armors are weird looking, and they got it's stuff just to apparently keep it together. So clearly they've been there for quite some time. But this version of Thrawn, the interesting thing about him is he is nervous. Every once in a while, he's asked questions by someone. Someone asks him about, should we do this? Should we do that? And he is so cautious because this is a Thrawn who has lost. He lost big, and it clearly affected him. He's cautious. He's reluctant to really make certain moves. Whereas if you've watched Rebels, it always felt like he was 10 steps ahead. Up until the last episode, the last season, the last few episodes of the last season, it always felt like Thrawn was 10 steps ahead. Even when the good guys won, it was just like a minor victory. It was just yeah, you can have that victory. But it always felt like he was steps ahead. It always felt like he was up on them. In this version of Thrawn, this is a Thrawn who has lost. This is a Thrawn who does not underestimate his opponents anymore. This is a Thrawn who is aware that certain things are out of his control, so all he wants to do is mitigate as much as he possibly can. This is a Thrawn, he's not even trying to win. He's just trying to hold them off and get the fuck out of there. You know what I mean? And it's so interesting seeing his facial expressions, seeing his nervousness, and seeing him describe, because I can't remember her name off the top of my head, but the one lady who had the vision in the first place, who we saw at the end, who we saw in Mandalorian Season 2, the one who helped them get all the way out, who helped get all the way out here in the first place, she questions him a couple times, and every time he's just like, I've seen it. I've seen Jedi. I've seen enough Jedis do the unexpected. I've seen them do shit. I've had my great plans and they figure some shit out, so I'm not taking any chances. What we're gonna do is we're gonna play a big game of keep away. Now, I didn't say this, but this is basically what he was saying is we're gonna play a big game of keep away until we're ready to get the fuck out of here, and then we're gonna get the fuck out of here. You know, we're not gonna play any games. I'm not trying to kill them. I ain't coming up with some over-the-top spectacular plan. Fuck all that shit. Alright? Like, we're just gonna get out of here. And it was very interesting seeing a Thrawn like that. Like, it's like in the Rebels, he is so confident. He always has a plan. He always feels like 15 steps away. But here, he does seem vulnerable. He seems like a man who has lost, and he's like, yo, that shit happened, and I'm never gonna, like, take that shit for granted that whatever plan I got is gonna work out. The only problem, too, with this season is you knew he was going to get away. Because Dave Filoni already said in a conference, I can't remember how long ago now, but that his entire little pocket thing he's doing with the Mandalorian and Boba Fett and all this shit, he's like, all this is going to come to a head into a conflict, into a movie slash, maybe a movie where Thrawn is the main bad guy. So all these shows are going to collect together, like Boba Fett and Ahsoka and Mandalorian. All these shows are going to come together and they're going to take on Thrawn. So we knew Thrawn was going to make his way back. But we know he doesn't succeed. We know he doesn't succeed because there's a sequel trilogy where he's nowhere to be seen. He's not mentioned. He's not brought up. He's not like, oh man, Admiral Thrawn used to be around. No, he's gone. So clearly, he didn't make it. So that's the one problem with the show Ahsoka and other things of that nature. First of all, getting into the episodes themselves, very good, great CGI, great characterizations. I love the actor they cast as Ezra. He's nailing it. He sounds like Ezra. He moves like Ezra. He's what I imagine Ezra would live action Ezra would be. Him and Sabine's chemistry is very good. We get more on Ahsoka and her digging deep down and figuring things out. The battles near the end were pretty cool, especially when Ezra gets to build his new lightsaber and stuff, so that was pretty cool. But man, I gotta tell you, like I say, they put a lot of money in that special effects, man. They really fucking do. Like, an insane amount of money. Like, especially for a show, man. Like, some of the stuff, like, you just think you're watching a movie. You're just like, Jesus, Disney, you put a lot of money into these special effects, and you just think you're watching a movie. You really do. You really do think you're watching a movie. But either way, the ending did leave a lot to be desired, just because it wasn't really an ending. It was a to be determined, which you never really want to do that with a season or any season of a show. At least your first season, it leaves a lot. Like I say, it leaves a lot to be desired because it just kind of leaves off of the to be determined, and in the end, nothing's really wrapped up. There are a shit ton of loose threads. Thrawn gets away. Spoiler alert, Thrawn gets away, which you kind of knew he was going to get away, because like I said, they already said what was going to happen, which ends up kind of being the bigger problem with some of these shows. Well, I love The Mandalorian. I love the fucking Mandalorian. And I dug the shit out of Andor. Andor was very different. It was like a spy, espionage thriller. Got nominated for Best Drama for a reason, people. Yeah. So, you know, obviously, that show lived up to its billing. But the problem is, it's all in the past. It's all in the past. At the end of the day, no matter how well acted, no matter how good it is, even a show like Andor, it's a prequel. And, like, right now, they have no idea what they want to do moving forward. Like, the sequel trilogy has, like, thrown them into chaos. They have no idea what they want to do moving forward. Kathleen Kennedy, the less said about her, the better, because, good Lord, she can't keep a director to save her ass right now. Writers and directors, they just dip it out, working on projects and dipping out. We have no idea what they want to do going forward. And it seems like Disney's idea was to milk this, because like I said this years ago, there was this small gap of time between the sequel trilogy and the original trilogy. There's like this 20-year window that shit happened. So Disney decided to mine that 20-year window that we really don't know what the fuck happened in this 20-year window, and mine the fuck out of it until they came up with a plan for what they want to do with the future. Well, I think the mining is getting to the end of the line here. I think you've done mined as much as you can, and there's more you could tell, but at the end of the day, every story is going to be marred down by the fact that it's not a sequel, that this is a prequel, that we know how certain things result. We know that fucking Thrawn isn't going to succeed. We know that Ezra, Sabine, and all these other characters, they couldn't have, like, how big could they be if they're not even involved in the sequel trilogy? We know these things. So at this point, I'm really thinking, like, Star Wars, Disney, and Lucasfilm, they really need to finally start looking to go forward. Like it's time. You cannot mind this period anymore. Now, granted, I think they're going to wrap this up. I think they're going to do a season. Maybe I think they're going to build up to that big epic conclusion that they want to do. But they really need to start gearing up to go to the future, because there's not too much more to mine here. And it's fine. And like, finally, it's like dawned on me. I'm just like, dude, the one thing that hurts this show, undoubtedly, is the fact that we already know what's going to happen. We already know. And at the end of the day, it really makes the drama a little less dramatic when you know how things are going to result. But anyways, I still enjoyed the last 2 episodes. I'd probably give them an 8. I still had a good time with them. The show overall is probably an 8 to me. Maybe a 7.5. 7.5. I still enjoyed the show. I think Rosario Dawson did a great job as a older, more seasoned version of Ahsoka. I love the casting of Sabine and Ezra and Hera. I think the live action appearances of all the characters from Rebels were successful, were very well done. I love the appearance of Thrawn. All the lightsaber battles were pretty cool. All the special effects were pretty cool. They're laying more groundwork to the eventual fall of the New Republic. So all these things were good, but at the end of the day, they didn't really invent the wheel. Nothing was so exciting. There was nothing standoutish. There was nothing in the show that was so over the top and so standoutish that it was like, I will remember it for that. No, I will remember it because I'm a fan of Rebels and because I saw all my characters that I was a fan of in this show live action. So I'll remember it. But me separating my fandom from being able to just view it as a piece of art, it's on its own. It barely stands. It barely stands. And like I said, simple fact that we know for a fact that we know how this is going to end does kind of hamper it. But either way, I still enjoyed it. I give Ahsoka the entire season an 8, and I give those last 2 episodes 8s. Thank you guys for joining the Comic Movie Show. Please remember to like and subscribe and comment below. Do you think it's time for them to move forward? Like, it's time to push forward. Like, we cannot do this shit anymore. It's time to move on from this period. It's time to push forward. Anyway, thank you guys again. See you in the next one. Goodbye.